When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. That just might work.
Welcome back to another episode of the Michel Matters Podcast. I'm Jocks Michel.
And I'm Jackie Michelle.
Welcome back.
Hey, guys.
Episode 92.
Yep.
Back at it again.
For the haters.
We are only here to improve on what we do. I don't care about the haters.
You're right.
We don't really have haters.
We
just made that up.
Growing in discipline is what I call it.
Stop being lazy. That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Yeah. Just do it.
So, yeah. So, this episode, just to get into it, what we wanted to kind of discuss was just kind of when we became comfortable in our full selves. And depending on what aspect of our life you're talking about,
if we are comfortable.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But it was definitely different stages for each, I guess, different aspect of our life. I don't think there's a point where I just woke up and like, oh, comfortable. It's always been a transition.
Yeah.
Or different times. So if I could, I'd like to tag this this podcast episode. Let your soul glow.
Churchy.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That glow.
Yeah. So, of course the initial reference comes from the hair product and Coming to America. So I guess we can start there because I think that's a big one, especially for you.
Yeah.
So when were you comfortable in letting your soul glow with your hair?
Oh, okay. So, and I don't think I shared this either, but I went natural by accident. So I moved from Miami to Tampa for school, and my hair just started breaking off because I couldn't find anyone to do my hair. And I had the same hairstylist since 8th grade. And so that was rough. And so basically I came home for the holidays and she was like, why don't we just cut your hair off and you can just go natural. And by the time you graduate, you can just get a relaxer again. And I was like, okay, I've trusted you with my hair since 8th grade. So yeah, whatever. Was
it really that simple though? Like someone said, cut all your hair off.
It really was
and you were
that
like,
simple.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically in college, I just did what's called a protective style, like throughout. I was crazy and I did micros. And so those are like tiny, tiny braids. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
But I would always do those styles. And so I just had a lot of new growth anyway. Not a lot. It was like how much you got, really. And so I had enough new growth, to pull to get the braids. So by the time I got home, she was just like, let's cut it off. She just cut the perm ends and it was just natural. It was like a little fro. So at the moment, I was like, okay, whatever. I trust you. Mm-hmm. I did not do any research. I didn't know people were going natural. I didn't know. This was 2009. So a year after I had already gone, I did a whole year of college already. And I got home to my parents' house. And I was like, what the heck did I just do?
Yeah.
I need to make an appointment right now to get some braids. So I rocked the fro for maybe like I don't even know if I made it a whole week. I did like a couple days. I don't even think I showed you a picture.
For a while.
Yeah. I don't even think I told you I cut my hair.
No, you didn't. I remember how I found out. I was on your laptop. And I don't know. I
started like a little folder.
Yeah.
With just my hair.
And I was looking at, you always have like, Jackie has all these old pictures of us or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was going through the pictures. And in one of the pictures, I'm like, ew. Why is Jackie bald?
I wasn't bald.
Hey. So I had to cut you like, you cut your hair? And, this is...
He would not have known because I always had braids
I had
something.
no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, you cut your hair?
Yeah.
And then we had to have this whole conversation. But
I
it was...
remember what was said. But I didn't even know that's how you found out. I thought you found out because we were going out for... It was probably one of those open mic things. What did they do at Applebee's or wherever that was?
We used to do like karaoke nights.
Karaoke night. And so we were going, and I was really frustrated because at that point I had grown out my hair. So you never saw it short.
No.
When you actually saw it out, you saw it like I had decent length or whatever.
It was okay.
It was like you had a little baby ponytail.
Yeah,
right?
fishtail.
Right. And so
we can laugh about it now.
Yeah, we can. But I was very frustrated because I was like, I don't know what to do with my hair and all this stuff. And then you were just like, I don't know what to do for you. Like, you look fine.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Like,
yeah, I remember those frustration days where it's like, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
None of these styles coming out right.
No. And this is 2009, so there weren't a lot of products. Not a lot of people were natural. Like, some of my roommates even were like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not joining any movement. Like, I'm just trying to grow my hair back healthy. Y'all can wear wigs if y'all want to, but I just can't. That just doesn't work for me. And so, yeah, like, people were not getting it. Even like family members, like, man, at that time, the things that I've heard at that time, just to wear my hair the way that the God that we all serve, allegedly created it, is like, wow, like, I didn't know I was changing the world. Yeah, so it took me a while to get used to natural hair. I want to say probably 2011. So maybe like 2 years after, once I moved to New York, that's when I was like, oh, there's a lot of people out here with natural hair. Like, maybe Florida is just behind on this trend, quote unquote. And so there were a lot more people who were doing like YouTube videos and people who made their own products that I could just buy in New York, and I would just wear it out. And I felt freer because I was also in the creative industry. So I never really felt like I couldn't wear my hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably getting into the industry. And then of course, once I got into corporate, I was like, oh, y'all have a problem like with hair. Because I would come with a new style and then all of a sudden it's like a conversation for 30 minutes. But
like not in a negative, more like curious.
Yeah, more curious. But at that point, I already knew like what my hair liked, and I was just, it was fine. It was just kind of like, y'all need to learn what's going on. I'm already comfortable here. So yeah, it took a while. But now it's like, it's just my hair.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're a little more comfortable because now I guess, there's just so much more information. There's all types of tutorials and different things. Because I think that was like the big thing was you were just figuring it out on your own for a long time. Because, so for me, the turning point in, I don't want to say hair, was not just you, because I feel like you were natural way before I started seeing other people go natural. Yeah. But like around that time, I think is when the Good Hair documentary had come out. Yeah. And it seemed to be like, okay, people are moving in that direction.
Talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, maybe Black women don't have to like perm their hair because there's so many chemicals. And I thought it was such a turning point, I think, in the way Black women viewed their hair. Yeah. Was around that time. And now there's just, now I feel like it's the other way around. It's like, you perm your hair? Like, women are ashamed to say they want to perm their hair because you get the side eye from the natural community. Like, man, you don't love your Blackness? Like, you want the white man's hair? Like, the white standard of beauty? Yeah. All that stuff. And
that's interesting. Yeah. And I don't have I'm not relaxed. At this point, it's funny because I feel like I was, were we together? Yeah, we were together. And then I think the next year, your sister went natural too.
With my knee, yeah.
Yeah, because she was pregnant
Around
and she
time.
just was like, I don't want to mess around, whatever. But I don't even think the women in your family would go to the beauty salon that often. Like, I feel like your mom did her hair at home.
My mom, like, permed her hair, Judy's hair.
Right. So they kind of already knew how to take care of their hair. Like, for me, I never did my hair by myself.
Yeah.
2 weeks religiously, I'm in that chair.
Yeah.
Like, 8 o'clock, I'm the first one there. Getting my wrap, everything. And so it was a little different, I think, for Judy, but I'm not going to speak for her, but it was cool going through that with her too. But then shortly after, I think my sister went natural. And then shortly after, I feel like your mom went natural and my mom went. It was like everybody's going natural in our family now.
It became
but y'all had a lot to say.
It became a thing.
Yeah. So it's interesting, especially that's probably why I don't think about it at all now. Because it's like everybody, I mean, London's natural. Like, London's probably not ever going to get a perm.
And that's crazy.
She doesn't know what that is.
That's crazy, right? Because when we were growing up, that was like the thing.
Yeah.
It was, when are you going to perm your daughter's hair?
Right.
And, how soon is too soon? And it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. Now, I mean, that's not even a conversation.
Right.
And I appreciated it. And it took some learning too as a man, because we kind of just always, that's what we saw. The women on TV, the women that maybe, that you're introduced to, they had perm hair, and that's what you thought attractive was.
Right.
Because that's kind of what we were conditioned to like. Like, girls who didn't have permed hair, I was like, ugh, like, they straight from the mother, as if that was a bad thing. Like, Jesus. They were just, but it was there was a stigma.
I remember it, but it's just so far back that it's just like, man.
Like, that's not even a conversation anymore. And I think that's so good. Because, I mean, for guys, it wasn't as bad. I think for me, when I never really thought about hair until I was in professional settings, right? And for a long time, I assumed the only way to wear your hair professionally was like a low boy, and to get, just
that tape.
Yeah, just get a fresh lineup, cut your hair low, and, brush it, whatever, get your waves. And it wasn't until, I don't know exactly the moment where I kind of just embraced my hair, like, let it grow a little bit. Yeah. Use the sponge brush on it, but it's still very, like, natural.
Even products, hair. Like the right products to use. Like, you can't just head and shoulder it up. Like. Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, like, using the sponge brush, they were like, you trying to grow dreads, like, in a negative tone, right? And it was just kind of, just black people hair. That's what it looks like.
Right.
You lucky I did this much. Like, if I didn't sponge it, this is kind of the look. The sponge kind of organizes the look a little bit.
And places the curls different.
Yeah. But now I think where I'm also at too is like, I started doing like, parts and different things in my hair. And I think for a while I was nervous because I just assumed that people would like, think of, like, he's one of them, or, but I think now I'm comfortable in that in all settings, just because.
I feel like that was recent too. Like the last 2 years, you started playing around with parts. I was like, okay, fade the sides and leave the top. Before it was just like, this is a one level thing.
Yeah, my haircuts used to be simple. Yo, give me a one all the way around. Yeah. Point the sideburn, and that was before I had a beard. And then
you glowed up.
That was it. Sure. Now, you know what? Fade the side. Let me get a temp, and then let me get the half moon part, the little Nas part in my hair.
Yeah. I think even like, I don't know. Now I just embrace all types of natural styles, like even locks. Like, I'm like, man, the way that we were conditioned to view locks were terrible.
Mm.
like that's crazy. So I don't know. It was definitely a journey. When they say hair journey, I don't feel like I'm still on a hair journey because I just feel like this is my hair now. I wash every week. I do some type of protective styling, or I'll do a puff or whatever. Like I just play with my hair.
Yeah.
Because I had a relaxer since I was like 7.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely know Judy didn't get a relaxer that early.
Yeah.
But
so from 7 to 18.
Man.
I had a
Funny.
relaxer longer than I've ever natural. So
For real?
I think so.
Nah.
Right?
Nah.
18 to...
It's 11 years permed. You're on like 12 years now.
Oh, okay.
Relaxed. Or natural.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I didn't even think about it.
Let's go.
There it is. So yeah, I'm definitely comfortable in that glow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What else?
What did you want to cover? So I have what we have written down too was like,
well, you spoke about just because I did glance at what you had written down. You spoke about work and like wearing your hair at work. So let's transition to work. How do you feel that you know? Are you secure in your work, in your career? How did you get there?
Yeah, so I won't say fully secure, but I do feel more secure than I don't know
When you first started.
Yeah, of course when I first started, but even like 3-4 years in, because for a long time I felt like, you know, was it like imposter syndrome? Like, my first job in the industry, I got really based on like my dad's referral. So for a long time, I felt like I was riding his coattail a little bit. You know, his name got me indoors, or his name garnered me a certain level of respect, because of, you know, the time, of who he is in the industry. So fast forward to now, I feel like I've done enough things, you know, we've worked separate for long enough that I'm just more comfortable in like what I know, who I know, the relationships I've built on my own. That, yeah, I can, and I've changed jobs twice. So like, you know, when I did the first job, I just kind of assumed like, you know, I got to know them, they got to know me, and whatever. I was kind of just in a rhythm. But then when I changed jobs, I had to prove myself again.
Yeah.
And do it all over again. And I feel like there, I did it way quicker. Like, I went from, you know, just kind of here to like, no, I do this now. Like, I'm up there in the hierarchy of the company.
Yeah.
To now where I'm at my new company, and I walk in with a certain level of cachet. And I think it just came from experience.
Cachet?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Come on.
You know, like, like I come in and people like, okay, subject matter expert type. Like, they ask me questions. I don't got to prove myself as much.
And I remember there was one time, I don't remember what job it was, but you told me, I mean, you had been there for like a little bit, but then somebody was like, oh, like, I guess you mentioned your dad for something, or maybe like for contract work or something. And they were like, oh, that's your dad?
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, putting 2 and 2 together, like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, it's not even like riding his coattail. It's like, this is good. Like, like, this is legacy, you know? Like,
yeah, I had developed my own path.
Yeah.
To a certain point.
Yeah.
Where now I feel comfortable standing on my own too. And it's because whatever, I put in the work necessary. Like, I stay late, I study, I do whatever it takes now. Yeah. Or to a point where like, okay, you know, God forbid something happens to, you know, and this, what I do is so like niche. Like, there's only a few companies. So you can only go around so many different places before you start to get like, okay, where can I work next? So that's sometimes where I get with like, how comfortable am I? You know, it's, yeah, I'm comfortable, I guess, in myself, but just the industry as a whole, like, you have to get to a really high point where, you know, no matter what, I'll never be without a job. And I'm getting closer to that point.
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable where I am. Like, I know, whatever, if tomorrow I needed to go find a job, I could. But I think when I'm at my most comfortable, where sometimes I get is if I could not only get myself a job, but get other people jobs there too.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, all right, now I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I'm good. That's when I kind of, not coast, but I feel good.
Yeah.
Good space.
Mm.
But yeah. So what about you? Because you've gone through some roller coasters of a career.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah. You better talk on it, because
I don't feel like they were roller coasters, but
maybe they don't know you. I know you. I know what we go through here.
That's true. They don't know what I say at home.
Yeah.
I think I've reached a point where I just know what I want now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just taking any job just because it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
And people see the resume. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, at this point in my career, if I show up in a space, I'm not like pulling teeth for them to like get me in the door or give me an opportunity, because they see like, oh, this girl is knocking out the tech packs. She knows what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the invoice and I'm gonna pay it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how it is now. And so it's interesting because I always wanted to do college in New York, as if like, that's why I know it don't matter what school you go to, John, because if you're supposed to be in that career and you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you went to such and such community college or Yale.
Yeah.
And so I always in the back of my mind was like, man, like I went to school in Tampa. Like, am I going to be taken seriously or whatever? And just the path that my career has taken, I get confirmation where I go places and they're like, oh, you worked with such and such? Like, oh, you worked, man, you know. And I'm like, okay, like I worked under some great people. I worked with great people who knew what they were doing, and it shows. And so it's nice. It's a good place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I feel like at this point, it's just kind of like, I don't know where I want. I know how I want life to kind of flow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want home to be good, number one, and everything else follows suit. That's just kind of how I operate now.
So my question for you, right, when it comes to being comfortable in your career path, when do you feel like you became comfortable with being an entrepreneur? Because that's a whole new life cycle of going from, 9-to-5 W-2 worker to 24/7 1099 entrepreneur.
Yeah. I felt comfortable this year. This is a recent comfort. I felt comfortable in my skills for a very long time now. But for at least like 5 years now, I've felt comfortable in my skills. But working for myself, that comfort just started, because I feel like even earlier this year, you know me, I was still like, I'll just apply right here. Just,
that's why I said it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, let me just apply. You
pretending like it's been this straight path.
Let me just apply, and it's just because like working for yourself is not. It's inconsistent. It's just like
people glamorize it, but
it's inconsistent. It's depending on what you do, I feel like sometimes I work more than if I just went to work.
Yeah. Because I don't think people talk enough about the security of 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times you hear about the drawbacks, like, oh, you got to ask somebody to take a day off, or
I got to ask myself, like, can I take a day?
Can I afford to take a day off?
Like, you still got to ask somebody.
Right. Like when I ask to take a day off, I get paid to take my day off.
Right. Thank God.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of times people don't they don't talk about that side of it. There is a glamorization of entrepreneurship that I think, can set up people to make rash decisions, not knowing how hard it's like watching you do it. I don't think I could do it, but I also feel a different level of pressure.
Yes.
So I commend you.
Well, and I'm sure we'll go into that as well, but I'm just like, it's also feeling, I feel secure in my skills that at this point, I know where I can go to make money, or I know how to make money.
Yeah.
But I also feel secure in my relationship. Like, I feel secure in my marriage, and I feel secure that, like, even if I wasn't working, like, bills would be paid. Mm-hmm. I just know I need to work. Like, for my own sanity, I can't be just home sitting, because that's just not how I'm built. But yeah, there's a sense of security because I know who you are as well. And so, like, it's like a little table tennis game. Like, I know that he's good, like, he has us, but at the same time, like, I want to also have us. And yeah, I don't know.
So, but I feel like you kind of answered.
Yeah.
But what makes you confident or comfortable in your entrepreneurship?
The other way just wasn't working. Okay. I feel like what?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I get that, but a lot of people feel that, right? But they're still not comfortable in entrepreneurship. They may feel inclined to be an entrepreneur, but there's a reason people don't do it. Like, there is a ramification to. You don't know if you're going to make it. You don't know if you're going to find clients. You don't know, like, why are you, or do you feel comfortable in entrepreneurship? Yeah. And if so, why?
I do feel comfortable in entrepreneurship. Maybe I don't know why. I don't know. I just feel like it's working. Like, and there are times where I'm like, man, like earlier this year when I was like, okay, let me just apply or whatever. And then I would be booked for the week. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, what am I doing? Like, what's not clicking? Like, this is working. Yeah. If I reach a road where it's like, this is not working, I can just get a job. Like, I think it's just, I know that I have options.
Okay. I think that's real to be. So you're comfortable in your spot because you know that you're good either way you go. Way. This entrepreneurship, if it doesn't work, you could always go get a job. Yeah. So you're comfortable in that aspect.
Yeah. And I'm also comfortable leveraging what that looks like now. What getting a job could look like.
Talk about that a little bit, right? Because I think that's also a really good, something I've learned from you that I would also incorporate in my own, like, career path, leveraging your skill.
My skill?
I think that's what you do.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
So when we talk about making money, I said it's one of two things. You leverage your time or you leverage your skill. Yeah. Right? Most people, unfortunately, only have time to leverage. Right. A lot of people have skill to leverage, but they don't know how to leverage it. Mm-hmm. I feel like you've found a way to leverage your skill in a way where you don't always have to be a 9-to-5 employee, but still get consistent checks. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to, like, maybe explain to some people how you did that a little bit.
I didn't know this was that episode.
I'm sorry. I didn't either. We just kind of landed here. But when you said it's like, yeah, it's true. That's something that I think, whatever, other people don't know or maybe aren't doing as much. I would,
honestly, I feel like that has to be another episode because there's a lot to flesh out. Because I know people who have skills and talents in different areas, and then my mind doesn't understand when they're not doing something with it.
Okay.
Like, but they want to. Like,
Yeah.
so it's different when I know like they have a full-time job and they're good. Like, I could just do my skills whenever. Like, I'll sell a cup that I put a cute graphic on the side. Cool. But if they literally like hate what they're doing, and there are ways that they could do something else with it, even if it's still another job, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to sell on Etsy or something. It could just be getting another job, but like that focuses on that skill. I'd just be like, why are you not doing that?
But I get, yeah, because that's what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah.
And I guess like you said,
we have to flesh.
We'll do another episode on it.
Yeah.
But in short,
he done.
Yeah, in short, being able to monetize a skill that you have, because a lot of the things that people do for companies is a skill that whatever that they've contracted out, right?
Yeah.
But for them, it's more companies are finding it more beneficial to find people who have those same skills, but they don't have to pay overhead costs. They don't have to pay insurance. Yeah. They don't need a parking space, a desk at the office. Mm-hmm. And especially in COVID, there's something there. And learning how to like figure that out and monetize it, I think you've done a good job of. It's something I think about more and more in my life. Like, oh, how can I do that at the same time? Yeah. But yeah, so we can get past that.
Well, thanks. Okay. What else?
I mean, I wrote down a couple things. Is there anything that you wrote down that you want to talk about?
I'll piggyback off of yours.
Okay. So for me, one of the things that I feel like I'm starting to be way more comfortable in is just my role as a husband. And this is one that I would say I was not comfortable in, of course, when we first got married. I may have been cocky enough to think that I was comfortable in it, but you do it for a little while and you kind of realize, okay, yeah, this is not as easy as you thought. Yeah. So for me, I feel like I'm way more comfortable in my role as a husband because I think I understand the role better now than when I first started. There are a lot of like tasks. Like, okay, this, you know what, man, this is a good conversation, right? So for me,
I'm learning a lot about you.
What?
No, I'm joking.
So one of the things that now I really like to do when I start working is I like to ask, what are my responsibilities, right? Because nothing's worse than like disappointing someone or not living up to an expectation because someone expects you to do something, but you're not doing it. But I'm also not doing it because I didn't know that was expected.
There you go.
So to match expectations, I think you need to define roles clearly. And when we first got married, I don't think I understood the role. And now I feel like I have a better understanding, like, of what it means to be a good husband. Similar to being a good employee is accomplishing my responsibilities. So it takes time. It took like communication, and it's so we throw that word out so much.
Yes.
But it really is key. I was having a conversation with a fellow husband, and it's true, right? Like some conversations are tough, but I feel like most of our progress have come out of tough conversations. And
preach.
And I think as a husband, some of my largest like advancements or most of my progression has come out of hard situations that we've gone through as a family. Or just as a couple of the conversations that we have, you know, seeing where I fall short and
that's that part.
Yeah, and it's such a big part of being a husband is like dying to self, like not having an ego about certain things. Yeah. And yeah, so I think I'm more comfortable in my husbandship, if that's a word, in my role as a husband, because of the time spent, but also like experience gained. So like I just haven't been a husband for 7 years. It's been like legitimate, like on the job training where I've actually gotten better at it because I try to get better at it. Not assuming it's gonna happen by osmosis or just like, just keep living. It's just gonna happen.
And I think a lot of people don't get to that realization that like they just think it's going to get better over time. Yeah. But you actually have to put in the effort and you have to want it to be better. Like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah. And when I say,
but when do you feel like you got comfortable though?
So I'll say, I think I got comfortable. So when we first got married, I was big on words of affirmation. Yeah. Right? That was like, you do the love, everybody does a love language test and whatever. But I think the reason why I leaned heavily so much on words of affirmation is because I didn't know what I was doing. So I needed someone to affirm my space to know that I was doing a good job.
That's good. That's good. Why are you laughing?
Because I feel like when I started to notice that I didn't need you to tell me I was doing a good job. Yeah. Because I was confident in what I was doing.
Come on.
Because I really thought about it and what it took to do what I do and whatever. So I don't know exactly when it happened, but I would say, I'd say recent for me. I'd say recent. Yeah. I would say in the last year and a half, 2 years. Not great. I don't think I'm the best husband in the world, but I feel like I have a better handle on this. And do I think I now can give a young married person or a younger, because we're still kind of young, a younger married person solid advice? Yeah, because I feel like I've learned a good deal from day one to day now.
You've lived.
Yeah, I've lived enough. I've learned enough to be able to okay, look, here's where you can go with this. Mm-hmm. This is more so what it means to be a husband in the general sense. I don't know what your wife's particular needs are or your family's particular needs are. It may be a more expanded role than what I have or whatever, but just the basis, the framework of what you need to do this well, to love your wife well. Yeah, I think I could give you some tips at this point. And I don't need Jackie to tell me, do I appreciate it? Mm-hmm. If she tells me, yeah, for sure. But it doesn't make me feel more confident in myself to hear it from you. I think now I understand a lot of it is between me and God. I'm not trying to sound super spiritual. I'm not trying to sound super spiritual because that's how it could come off sometimes. Go ahead. But I think in what I've so a lot of it's having to model Christ, and this sounds super spiritual, but I think that is the way, that's the model for what we're trying to do here. Yeah. And once I understood that, it changed my whole mind on what it meant to be a husband. Mm. And now that I know, and I have a framework and I have somewhere the standard is not necessarily always how Jackie feels per se, right? Because sometimes the best way to lead our household may go against what Jackie feels or so those are hard conversations sometimes, but I feel better knowing that whatever I made a lot of decisions prayed up.
There you go.
Not off the cuff like I did when we first started getting married. My wisdom is not coming from.
So you're owning that you did.
What?
Just do stuff without praying.
I'm not gonna. I would say maybe the way when we first got married, I was more so inclined to
lean on your own understanding.
I'm also not trying to make it sound super spiritual again. So I would say I was either trying to please you or please me, right? And neither one of those is always the best way to if when I tried to please you, it would be more so like, man, I know that's not a good idea, right? But it would make me feel better if I just did what she wanted me to do, right? Like, this would be so much easier.
Yeah.
And I think that's more so where I landed when we first got married. It was either make me happy or make you happy. Mm. And that's not really the way to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. I feel like I'm still working.
Oh, let me back up. I'm still not there.
No. But you are more comfortable. I am more comfortable today, sure. But I think I'm still working on some stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are times when, like, and what I appreciate with you now is that you make it known, like, at that moment. Whereas before, like, you make it known at that moment if it's like, yeah, you need to get that together, you know? Mm-hmm. Whereas before, it would be like a week before you would say something. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm killing this thing, you know? Like, and yeah, I wasn't. But now it's like, no. Like, this needs to, you know, you need to work on that. Or like my delivery, you know, for certain things. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a very, if you know me, I am a very, like, quiet spirit.
That's a lie.
On the outside, in the outside world. But I am very, like,
direct.
Yeah. And brash. I've been that way my whole, like, I'm quiet in the sense that, like, I just do what I need to do. And if you're in the way, then you're going to hear what I'm really thinking, you know? Yeah. And that's probably why my dad was like, yeah, if she want to marry you, take her.
I think with you,
because I was like that with him.
I think with you, people say I'm like loud in public or I'm like, you know, a little more open. But I think you are just within the people that you deal with directly, they know you're more of a bulldog than me. Like, we did a personality test.
More than you?
Yeah. We did a personality test not too long ago. It was during COVID. And it was like, you know, the different personalities like animals. Mm-hmm. And one of Jackie's animals was a lion, which was pretty much like very, very like my way or the highway type situations. And that is you. Yeah. I'm not that. When I did the test, that was not one of my personalities because that's not me. Yeah. I'm not like that. And for a man to be married to a woman who has that personality, that is, and I have several friends who have this. Mm-hmm. It is a weird power struggle and dynamic to work through when you're supposed to lead, but your wife is a lion. And that's a whole nother podcast.
Yep.
We can tackle that another day. But
I think a lot of that too, because you mentioned like people would say you're outspoken in public and all that, right? Or like you're loud in public. A lot of it is
which I'm not.
You are, but I think because I'm going to tie it into this next point is that's just what I was told that this is like, that's how I was told this operates, right? So like, woman, chill and let your husband take care of it or whatever. So I would be that woman that's like, in different settings too. Like we would be in church meetings. We could be in whatever, where I just feel like that's probably something he should say. Or that's probably something like, that email should come from you. Mm-hmm. But I would be like, okay, you got to put this down there. Or ask this question. Like, but it's really my question. Mm-hmm. But that was also like a lot of unlearning that I needed to do. Because clearly I know where I got that from. But that it's just wrong. And yes, there are boundaries for women in different settings written out in the Bible, which it I know now is for my good. But I think the way that I was living it out was just wrong.
Mm.
And it's like, girl, you have something to say. It's okay. Like, you can ask your question. You don't have to hide it behind your husband. He doesn't have to do this. Like, you can raise your hand. That's why everyone's here.
Yeah.
Because everyone has questions. So yeah, I think I'm growing and learning in my position as a wife. And that also coincides with where I fit in church as a woman.
And where is that?
I mean, I can't say like, oh, this is the ministry that I'm supposed, but like, what I mean by that is, yeah, I'm learning some things. That's all. And I know that I have certain gifts and a certain personality that could fit in various, in different ways in the church to grow the church, to love our neighbor, as we spoke of in our last episode. And yeah, like I understand that, man, because that could be a whole nother podcast too. But like, one of my friends and I, we were literally just going back and forth, and she was kind of struggling with just like a woman's place in church. And at some point, it's kind of like, do you believe God is good?
Yeah.
And if so, then you got to believe that what's in here is good, mm-hmm. and for your good. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing that you can do. Like, a lot of people would just feel like, oh, well, then as a woman, I'm just supposed to just...
They just see the restriction.
Yeah. But there's a lot of freedom.
Yes.
And I'm learning that right now. So I'm growing in that. Currently, I am not comfortable yet, but I'm growing.
Yeah. So when it comes to my place in church, and I think we can wrap up here. Yes. But when it comes to my place in church, this is something that still growing with, but I think I'm starting to get to a point where, I don't see, or I'm more comfortable in the fact that I am a Black millennial Christian, mm-hmm. right? And I hate throwing the millennial part, but it comes into play. Yeah, it does. So,
what's funny? Sorry to interrupt.
Nah, it's your world.
Oh, it's not my world, but it's. I don't remember what I was watching, but it was like a panel, and somebody was saying that the millennials are kind of the last generation where like church can feel like home to a lot of us. Mm. Of course, there are some millennials that are like, I didn't grow up in the church. Yeah. But like, we were the last that always went. Like, we remember a time when it was like, 2 to 3, maybe 4 days or services, I'm at church. Yeah. Whereas like this generation, it's like, maybe I went every Sunday, but like that Wednesday, Sunday, and sometimes Saturday, and like we're like the last to have lived that. If you grew up in a church environment, Yeah. And so I think that does play a role when you add that millennial point.
Because we're a very distinct generation. Of course, all the generations are distinct. Yeah. But like, my friend sent me a meme the other day, or she posted it. She didn't send it to me directly. Where I was like, millennials at a restaurant will like order their meal, get bad service, but still tip 20% because they still got to pay their bills, right? Right. Like because there's the bleeding heart thing with millennials or whatever, which I think is still important in being a Christian. Like, I think there gets to a point where Christianity can seem kind of cold still, because of whatever, some of the fundamentalist ways where certain people were outcast, or just kind of the way things have gone as far as like politics and Christianity, whatever. So there's a whole thing where like you wouldn't want to include being millennial. I don't like all the labels, but it matters. It matters in where I think I see my place as a Christian.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to being Black, also, it's hard to separate it. And there's always this large debate about, you know, Christianity over culture and all this stuff. But I think a majority of people can confidently say that because their culture is Christianity. Like their culture is already incorporated into Christianity.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, Christianity over culture. It's like, yeah, because Christianity's white. And
Jesus, man.
And I'm not saying like as a pejorative strictly, right?
Yeah.
But I think there can be a push to that direction to kind of leave your culture at the door because you're not the predominant culture. And I think my culture still matters. Yeah. I am still made in the image of Christ, and my Black skin is part of the image of Christ. So I do not leave it at the door. I bring it in with me. Amen. Because it is Christ-like.
Amen.
And I think it took a while to kind of buck back on that, because it's kind of how, like, growing up in a Southern Baptist church, that was the overarching like idea, is that we are Christians, we don't see color, this and that. But we all know, you know, it's not true. Everybody sees color, and it's not a problem. Yeah. Like, I don't have a problem saying that I'm a Black Christian because I am.
Right.
It is how Christ made me. And I'm comfortable in it. A little more comfortable than I was before. And I'm comfortable bringing race into certain conversations because it is the matter of the day. And the Bible is supposed to be able to handle all situations. So why not race too? Yeah. So, like, it's, you know, once again, there are also a lot more, I feel like, Christian voices that I can refer to that are Black that I am now more in tune with because the internet, now I'm not limited to my local church. I can go on YouTube and hear other pastors and listen to or read other writings from other Black theologians and pastors, which makes me more comfortable and like, okay, I'm not alone. There's other people out here. And there's not just one way to be a Christian, which is for a while what I struggle with, because you go out into the world and people will tell you that Christianity is the white man's religion. But I was listening to something today, I was like, I want to say it's Esau McCauley, he's a pastor, theologian, whatever, where he was saying Black people have been screaming, he is risen from the beginning of time. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something new. This is not something that we got from through the slave trade.
The whites.
Like, Black people been Christians.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable in that because, boy, you go to certain places and they try to make you feel bad for being a Black Christian because how could you? And my thing is, how could you not? But anyway.
There you go.
So, a lot of this could branch off in so many different topics.
Yeah.
I think we did.
We might need another part 2 or something.
I think we did have a really good conversation with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool.
This was kind of like a check-in for us.
Right, a little bit.
Low key.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes.
Don't forget you can like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube. You can communicate and give us feedback on our Instagram.
And our Twitter. Well, his Twitter.
Yeah, you know, let's leave that off. Let's just do the Michelle Matters topics. Do not confuse my views with the views of the podcast.
There you go.
Oh, nah, I'm joking. But yeah, definitely tap in with us. Yeah, and if you can communicate with us, leave voicemail, all that.
Yes.
It will be in the show notes, so you can leave a voicemail at the number in the description.
Nice. Look at you.
Right? I think I'm getting used to this podcasting thing. I'm getting a little more comfortable, right?
All right.
All right,
let's go get these groceries.
See you.
Bye, guys.
When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. that you might work, ayy, that you might work, that you might work.